So picture this, you're a top-notch welder. I mean, you really know your stuff. Years of experience under your belt. You land in Russia for a huge project, ready to get to work. But then you hit a wall. There's one more test. A final boss that's completely unique to this place. We're talking about the welder's passport, and today we're going to break down exactly what it is and how you can earn it.
Yeah, we're not talking about your average workshop here. We're talking about welding in some of the most brutal environments on the planet. Imagine vast gas refineries in the Arctic, or high-pressure pipelines that snake across thousands of kilometers of frozen tundra. We're talking about places where the temperature can casually drop to minus 50 degrees Celsius. It's a whole different ballgame.
And this gets right to the heart of it. The stakes are just astronomically high. You've got immense pressure in those pipes, specialized materials, and absolutely zero room for error. A single bad weld isn't just a defect, it's a potential disaster. And that is exactly why there's a system in place to make sure every single person on site is a proven pro. That's the system we're digging into today.
So who's the gatekeeper to this world of high-stakes welding? Well, it all comes down to a four-letter acronym you absolutely have to know. NAKS. This is it. This is the official passport we're talking about. NAKS stands for the National Agency of Welding Control. Basically, it's the central, government-backed organization that regulates, tests, and certifies every welder, every piece of equipment, and every welding procedure used on what Russia officially calls hazardous production facilities. And you've got to understand, this isn't just some company's internal policy. This is federal law. We're talking Federal Law number 116 FZ. It flat out says that nobody, and I mean nobody, can perform a weld on a hazardous site without having a valid NAKS certificate. Your international certifications, your decades of experience, that's all great. But to work here, you have to pass their test. Period.
So here's the best way to think about it. Don't see NAKS as some bureaucratic hurdle. See it as your professional passport. Sure, this system is strict, but it means that the person welding the next section of pipe over from you is just as qualified, just as professional, and just as focused on safety as you are. It's a system designed to protect everyone.
Okay, so the NAKS system isn't just one size fits all. It's actually built like a pyramid with 4 clear levels of responsibility. Figuring out this structure is key because it shows you exactly where you fit into the whole operation.
Down at the base, you've got level 1. That's the certified welder. This is you, the professional, with the torch in your hand, laying down the beam. Then, one step up, you have level 2, the master welder or foreman, who's supervising the work on the ground. Level 3 is the welding technologist. These are the folks in the office who are developing the technical how-to for the job. And at the very top, level 4 is the welding engineer, the person managing the entire welding production. It's a clean hierarchy, ensuring certified oversight every step of the way. Now, your NAKS certification isn't a one-and-done deal. First, you've got the initial certification. That's the big exam you're gearing up for. After that, you'll have to take a periodic exam every 2 years just to prove you're still sharp. If
If you want to learn a new welding process, you'll need to pass an additional exam for that specific method. And then there's the extraordinary exam. Trust me, you don't want this one. That's a mandatory retest they hit you with if your work has consistent flaws or you break a major safety rule.
All right, let's get to the main event, the exam itself. This is where the rubber meets the road, or, where the electrode meets the steel. Let's break down what you're actually going to face in that testing booth. So, one of the first things you're going to run into is kind of like a language barrier, but with welding codes. You're probably used to saying SMAW for stick welding. Well, here it's RD or RD. You know TIG as GTAW, here it's RAD or RAD. And what you call MIG/MAG or GMAW, that's MP or MP here. You've got to know these because your exam instructions will be written in the NAKS code. So, you've studied the theory, you know the codes. What actually happens when you step inside that booth? Well, it's all about one thing: demonstrating flawless quality while an examiner watches your every move. Okay, you've finished your test piece, you've cleaned it up, you're feeling good about it, and you hand it over. From this moment on, it's completely out of your hands. Your work is about to go under the microscope in a really intense two-stage inspection. First up is VT, which stands for Visual and Measuring Testing. An inspector is going to go over that weld with a fine-tooth comb, checking its size, its shape, and its surface. They're looking for any visible flaw, like undercuts or porosity. If it fails this first look, you're done. Exam over. But if it passes, it moves on to round 2, NDT, or non-destructive testing. This is where they use X-rays or ultrasonic waves to look deep inside the weld for any hidden cracks or defects you can't see. So, how much wiggle room do they give you for mistakes? Let me make it real simple for you. 0. NAKS has 0 tolerance for critical defects like cracks or lack of fusion. If that X-ray shows even a tiny hint of a crack, you fail. It is that black and white. Let's just step back for a second here. All these rules, these codes, these unforgiving tests, it might seem like a lot of bureaucracy, but it all serves a much, much bigger purpose. And that's really the whole point. Don't let these strict rules intimidate you. The entire system is built to filter out the amateurs and ensure that only true professionals are the ones building the country's most critical and most dangerous infrastructure. This exam is your chance to prove you belong in that professional group. And really, this is what it all comes down to. The slogan for NAKS is Territory of Quality. Earning this certification is so much more than just getting a license to work. It's your official entry pass into a culture where quality is everything and safety is completely non-negotiable. It's proof of your skill, and it's what opens the door to some of the most challenging and rewarding projects on Earth. So the question isn't just, can you weld? It's, can you prove you belong in the territory of quality?
All right, so you're a professional welder, and you're heading to work on some of Russia's biggest industrial projects. That's fantastic. But before you even think about striking an arc, there's one system you absolutely have to know inside and out, and that's what we're going to break down for you right now. Okay, let's jump right in. The single most important acronym for your career in Russia is going to be NAKS. You see this mark right here? That's the official stamp of quality. You can pretty much think of it as your passport, your official license to perform high-quality, safe welding work anywhere in the country. So here's our game plan. First, we'll cover what NAKS actually is. Then we'll look at the 4 certification levels. After that, we'll dive into the specific types of hazardous jobs it covers, walk through the exam process, and finally, talk about what your certificate means once you've earned it. All right, let's get into it. First things first, what exactly is NAKS? Well, you can think of it as the master key, the one thing that unlocks the door to every significant industrial and construction site across Russia. NEST stands for the National Agency of Welding Control. And these guys are the official gatekeepers. Their whole purpose, their entire reason for being, is to make sure that every single person working on critical infrastructure, we're talking pipelines, power plants, you name it, meets the absolute highest standards for both safety and quality. And let me be perfectly clear about this, because I really can't stress it enough. NAKS certification isn't just a nice to have. It is 100% mandatory. Without that certificate, you are not getting on site, period. The door is locked. There are no exceptions. It's really that simple. So how is this whole thing structured? Well, the easiest way to picture the NAKS system is like a pyramid. It has a really clear hierarchy built on 4 distinct levels. And each step up the pyramid comes with more responsibility. Right at the bottom, the foundation of it all, that's level 1, the certified welder. And hey, that's you. You're the professional doing the actual hands-on work. Now, one step up, you've got level 2, the certified master welder, who's basically the foreman supervising the job. Then there's level 3, the welding technologist. These are the folks writing the technical procedures. And right at the top is level 4, the certified welding engineer, the person managing the whole operation. For you and for your exam, we are laser focused on level 1. It's all about proving your mastery of the welding tool itself. Now, here's something that's really important to get. A NAKS certificate is not a universal pass to weld anything you want, wherever you want. Nope. Your certification is specifically tied to the exact types of industrial work that you are qualified to do. So this is the big question you need to answer. Where exactly will you be working? Because your certificate is going to spell out which groups of hazardous technical devices, or O2 as you'll hear it called, you're qualified to work on. Your skills are being tested for a very specific environment. Let's run through some of the main groups. You got NGDO, which is for the oil and gas industry. Think massive pipelines in Siberia. There's KO for boiler equipment, where you're dealing with extreme heat and pressure. PTO covers lifting equipment like those towering construction cranes. OHNVP is for chemical plants, where safety is just off the charts important. And SK covers the steel skeletons of bridges and factories. You absolutely have to know which group you are testing for, because your practical exam is going to be set up to replicate the exact challenges of that specific job. All right, let's talk about the main event, the examination itself. It's not just one test. It's a 2-stage process, almost like a professional gauntlet, designed to verify your practical skills first and then your technical knowledge. The process always starts with the practical exam. They'll give you a test weld to complete based on a technical chart. It's all about what you can do with your hands. Only after you pass that practical test do you get to move on to the theoretical exams. And that's usually a general welding test and a special test tailored to your specific group. And this right here is the most crucial point. Your practical skill is everything. The rules are incredibly strict. If your test weld doesn't pass, you are not allowed to take the theory tests. The whole certification process just stops right then and there. Your hands-on ability is the only key that unlocks the rest of the exam. So let's say you've proven your skill and you've nailed the practical exam. Awesome. Now you move on to the theory tests. And on those, this is the magic number you need to remember. 80%. You have to answer at least 80% of the questions correctly to pass. So you did it. You passed the practical, you aced the theory exams, and now you have your NAKS certificate. This is the final reward. But, getting the certificate is just the beginning. Let's look at what it actually means to hold one. First off, remember, this thing isn't a lifetime pass. It has an expiration date, so you'll have to recertify periodically to keep it active. It's also a very specific document. It only gives you permission to do the types of work listed on it. Plus, all your details go into the official NAKS National Register. And a lot of modern certificates have a QR code, so site security can just scan it and instantly verify that you're qualified. You know, this quote really gets to the heart of it all. Your NAKS certificate is so much more than a piece of paper. It's a recognized mark of professional excellence. It's undeniable proof that your hands and your mind meet the absolute highest standards in the industry. So there you have it. We've walked through the what, the why, and the how of the NAKS system. You understand the levels, the different categories of work, and the gauntlet of the exam. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important question, and this one's for you. Now that you know the rules of the game, what's your first practical step going to be to prepare for that level 1 exam?